Hey guys, it's Parker here, back with an episode of The Great Ace 32. I just almost dropped my controller before starting the video. Okay, just go. Order. Order in court. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what's it to be? You can't be serious, you did it? Yeah, and then he tried to run away on the boat. Have you no shame at all, Kazuma Asogi? What do you mean? What? Very well, I admit it. I did bring the inspector's body into the country. Inside my trunk, exactly as postulated by the defense. What? You? Dear God, outrageous. So it was you. No, I admit to nothing more than what I've said. Of killing the man, I certainly have no recollection. What on earth is that cryptic statement supposed to mean? I merely disposed of the inspector's body, which is left in my cabin, in order to avoid unwanted attention. As the judicial assistant over there pointed out, I had no chance to throw it into the ocean. Why would you throw away a corpse if you didn't kill Gregson? Like, you can't still deny if you didn't do it, then who on earth did kill the man? Or are you gonna accuse Kazuma, huh? He had the opportunity. Moreover, he already accepted a mission to take the inspector's life. Oh. That's right, who else could it have been? It was you, Kazuma Asogi. But didn't Kazuma say that he left the ship and he went to a cabin? And that he signed at that cabin? That he stayed at that place? I never thought he stooped to the Seishiro Jigoku. You've taken the words straight out of my mouth as prosecutor, Kazuma Asogi. You thought by leaving a body in my cabin you could pin the crime on me, did you? Well, the prosecution counsel has already admitted to visiting the witness's cabin on the night in question. Yes, on an assassination mission, no less. You wouldn't. So, what do you make of that young stripling? You've heard my testimony now, and that's all I have to say on the matter. I'll admit to nothing more. I don't believe this. Yeah, he's pretty guilty. He's pinning the blame on other people instead of taking responsibility for his actions. The assertion that on the night in question, the victim's assailant was in fact Mr. Kazuma Asogi. This isn't the dead end it seems to be. The answer's right in front of me. It comes down to Jigoku or Kazuma. Both of them had the opportunity to kill Gregson, but only one of them did it. Whoops, I can't read today. I'm just a step away from proving who. Very well, the defense is ready to respond to assertion put forward by Judge Jigoku. The idea that the victim's murder could have been committed by prosecutor Asogi is impossible. Because of the evacuation drill. Judge Jigoku, let me remind you of something you said only a few minutes ago. You claim that logical reasoning is the future of the judicial process. But you don't seem to be using logical reasoning, Jigoku. It is, without question. Well, logical reasoning can prove something here. Namely, that it would have been impossible for Prosecutor Asogi to commit the crime. What? The court will only accept the argument that is supported by compelling evidence. So present what you have, counsel. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's involvement? The evacuation drill. There was only a 20-minute window during that time. Okay, here we go. This itinerary for crew members of the escorts, my lord, this is conclusive proof. An itinerary, how does that prove anything? Judge Jigoku, the moment you acknowledge that you found the victim's body in your cabin, this itinerary suddenly became much more significant. What? Why? On the night in question, as always, a crewman sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, nobody could have fired a shot inside the cabin. Absolutely, because it's inconceivable that the guard wouldn't have heard it and come to investigate. So that tells us that the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. And that narrows it down to 20 minutes just after 10 o'clock as indicated on itinerary. Yes, I see no flaw in your reasoning so far. But the crucial point is this: when the evacuation drill took place, The steamship had already put to sea for the port of Dunkirk. Now, clearly the murder could only have been committed by somebody else aboard the vessel at the time. But Prosecutor Sogi stated in yesterday's proceedings, he wasn't there. He left the frickin' ship. Which I'm sure the court will agree is conclusive proof that Kazuma Sogi couldn't possibly have carried out the killing. God. Logical reasoning at its finest, Judge Goku. No, absolutely not. I don't accept that at all. What do you mean? The boy just saying that to exonerate himself. We can't trust that he really disembarked the vessel. Obviously, after left by cabin, he hid us somewhere nearby on the ship. Then why is there signed papers on the cabin that he, slept there? Just waiting for his chance to... No, Jigoku. No, that's out of the question. Isn't it, Kazuma? As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel and spent the night in the boarding house in Dunkirk. And as I said yesterday, signed my name in the accommodations register book. All extremely easy to verify and undeniable proof. Wow, you two are even working together even when you're on the opposite sides of the court. Yeah. These Bermuske and Kazuma, I shipped. There's no escape this time. You can forget that you're a judge or a government minister. It's time you gave the court an honest answer as a common man. You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain. Then you dumped the body in the room on Francis Street and made it look as if the murder happened there. That's what really happened, isn't it, Seishiro Jigoku? It was a damn trial 10 years ago. That's when all this began. Oh boy. Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. Are you gonna break the witness stand? Oh my god! Yeah, he's just a Dragon Ball character, y'all. Oh my god! It's over! My life is over! Yeah. Yeah. You're stating the obvious. A British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan. A Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands. The assassins changed request to arrive in Britain about 1 year ago. Though it was hardly a request, it was a demand. And for that, he decided to recruit Mr. Asogi. But things didn't go according to plan. According to Keikaku, your chosen assassin never made it to Britain. And you found yourself unable to dispatch and replace the Sorry, I keep switching voices. Because I was already on my way to Britain at the time, in Kazuma's place. And that left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation. To eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that. The International Forensic Science Symposium, I presume. Can we just shorten that to IFSS? That's right. I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain, so I enlisted the help of my British counterpart, and made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper. What? The Reaper? But there's only one person who could have done that. Oh my god. The mastermind of the entire operation. The Reaper himself. This is the Reaper! How many times do I have to tell you this? It was all planned by the Reaper. I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. It's probably Strongheart. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission, dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship, but it was all a trap designed to lead him to France and his own deaths. Oh, how awful. It was past 9 o'clock when I returned my cabin for the dining hall that evening. I didn't give him the time to attack him. I choked him until he lost consciousness. but there was a guard just outside the door, so I left it at that for the time being. Even the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time, waiting. For the 20 minutes after 10 o'clock. I had intended to finish him by strangulation, but moments before I had the chance, he suddenly came around and went for me in a reckless move. Oh my god, Gregson, you should just like shouted for help or something. I received a British issued gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. My poor Gregson. Like, I feel like anything he could have done would just have led to his death anyway. I feel so bad. I never imagined how to use it for something like that. So the revolver belongs to you, does it? Then the victim was killed inside your cabin on the SS Girls, which begs the question of why arrange for his body to be discovered in the room on Fresno Street. The young judicial sister over there has already answered that question. There was no way I could take the body up the deck to throw it over the side. That's precisely where all the crewmen gathered for the evacuation drill. So before the first class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room. And then on arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk in order to smuggle it past the border police. I knew I needed to take steps with the police or to be convinced that the body is found in London. In that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Inspector Gregson's intended schedule. Yes, my British counterpart sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector is due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon in order to meet a man by the name of Hugh Boone, from whom he will take back his police identification. Ah! I decided that man would be the perfect person to set up as a culprit, so I took a hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk. That must have been just after we took this photograph with you at the hotel then. Yes, I was expecting a welcoming comedy. I was more than a little nervous. On Fresno Street is about a young girl selling little firecrackers. Miss Venus, of course. I conceived of the kind of trick there and then, so I donned a simple disguise and approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot. What sort of disguise? For some reason, the inspector had a bright red hairpiece in his own traveling case, so I put that on. Although I suspected drew more attention to myself in that than I would have otherwise. The hairpiece he found at the scene, the inspector had it ready for the Red-Headed League investigation. I only arrived at the room at around 4:45, so I quickly placed the body on the floor, moved the notice board and set up by a little counter trick. I arranged it so the firecrackers would go off with a bang around 15 minutes later. So that Mr. Boone, who was due to arrive at 5, walked straight into a trap. Except, at the last moment, I made a careless blunder. What was that? I imagine it was the bag of fish and chips. Ah! I didn't notice that fall out of his overcoat pocket when I moved the body to the refrigeration room. I put it back in his pocket the following morning, but... Well, it seems the warrants at the heated cabinet accelerated the delay of the fish. Anyway, that's everything. All the sordid details of what I did. I've heard enough. Ahem. You've arrived at the truth about the murder of one of the country's most capable and respected police inspectors. The witness will be tried in the coming days. For a crime of such a vile nature, you can expect the most severe penalty. An exchange of assassins, what a foolhardy idea. Mr. Jigoku, one last detail. Who was your counterpart in Britain? Who was the mastermind behind the assassin's change? Start! Nothing you say now can make matters any worse for you. Just tell us. Enough! I tell you, voice died. I've already told you that I cannot say. Even though as things stand, you may very well never step foot in your homeland again. What are you waiting for? Can we get this over with now? It's finished. All of it. I'm finished. Then, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now pronounce the findings of this court. This man before us is admitted to the willful murder of Tobias Gregson. Okay. Wee! Say Shiroji Goku, it is the opinion of this court that you should be found guilty. And may I remind all those present of the strict confidentiality demanded by this closed court. Moments ago, Mr. Jigoku signed a written confession admitting to the murder of Inspector Gregson and the subsequent conveyance of the body. In short, the defendant's innocence has therefore been established beyond doubt. Oh, wonderful! Well done, Miss Naruhodo. Yes, thank you. Is something wrong? I'm just a little troubled by his silence. The true identity of the Reaper de Bailey and this extraordinary assassin exchange, we do remain in the dark about these mysteries. However, insofar as the indictment brought against the defendant's trial, we have reached a conclusion. I have every intention of pursuing both mysteries. As a prosecutor. As you wish. Now, for the formal adjudication. Hereby declare the defendant Barak Van Zeeks. Yeah, I knew. Yeah, Kazuma, of course you will. The prosecution calls for adjudication to be deferred. Counsel. The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all, and therefore it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at this time. That is the prosecution's unwavering position. What? But Judge Jigoku has already confessed. Nevertheless, Barak Van Zeeks has committed crimes for which he must be punished. Well, it would appear you have information that the court needs to hear, Prosecutor Asogi. Certainly, the murder of Inspector Gregson was actually carried out by Seishiro Jigoku, but it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying with the plot, into the sick, merciless assassin exchange. That may be true, but... So what I want to know is who coerced Jigoku? Who was pulling the strings? The victim went to France, having been ordered on a mission for the Reaper, only to be murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin exchange is someone in position to give such an order. As we've already established, the Reaper himself. Well, certainly that would appear to follow. The prosecution hereby formally accuses the man in the dock, Barak Van Zeeks, of being the Reaper of the Bailey, and furthermore, I'm going to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. Bruh, he didn't do it though. Order, order, order. The Reaper at the Bailey is a long-standing mystery counsel. Are you suggesting us some new information with which to build a case? Scotland has already investigated Lord Van Zeeks very thoroughly in that regard, and they found no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he is the Reaper. Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed. What do you mean? It's already been established that the assassin exchange was negotiated with Jigoku by the Reaper himself, which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify definitively the man's identity. That is the prosecution's intention here. I must say I am surprised by quite how tenaciously you appear to want to besmirch my name. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime, Lord Van Zeeks, and I will bring you to justice for it, whatever it takes. That explains Kazuma's silence before. He'll stop at nothing to finish what Lord Van Zeeks unwittingly started 10 years ago. Very well. Well, it was extremely irregular. I will, on this occasion, grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant will disclose any and all involvement he has had with the Reaper and Assassin exchange. I thank you, my lord, for guiding the court so wisely. I hereby declare this court to be in session for a supplementary hearing. Oh boy. Well, No breaks. This case has no breaks. Pray turn a blind eye to discourtesy as to verify that this vile and unremitting accusation hasn't soured the kindness of my hallowed chalice. Lord Van Ziggs, I first had to suffer the pseudomy of this Reaper 10 years ago now, and ever since that time I've endured the weight of implied guilt that's gone with it. I've went through a lot of mental stress, that therefore I drink a lot of red wine, and I mean a lot. So I welcome the chance to testify now and crush those allegations once and for all. Good. Then let justice decide, Lord Manseeks. The prosecution seeks to begin building his case by calling the accused to stand as the primary witness, in order that he may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is the Reaper of the Bailey. And what says the defense? Putting the defendant in the witness stand can be extremely dangerous, and Kazuma-sama is so emotional at the moment, he's not thinking logically. You're right that he's not himself, but I knew it would be like this, and I came here today determined to face him through whatever might arise. Tales of Arise? As a liar, and as his friend. Then that's what we must do. The defense has no objection, my lord. Very well, defendant, you'll take the witness stand and give formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. As you wish, my lord. I've never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day, and how I came to discover the body. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassin exchange. Didn't Dr. Wilson, inspect your brother's body, though? I mean, like, your brother's corpse? Didn't Dr. Wilson do that? I acknowledge that the public at large believe me to be the Reaper. However, that's a fallacy, which I alone am in a position to forswear. Naturally, the prosecution believes the testimony just given by the accused to be untrue. Ryosuke Naruhodo. Yes? Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom? To find out the truth. A desire to uncover the truth. Even if the truth proves you're kind to be guilty. From all my experiences in this courtroom, I come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later, it will come out. So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth. I want you to remember what you just said. Oh, okay. Enough dilatory chatter. Counsel for the defense, proceed to cross-examine the witness. Yes, my lord. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kazuma. I know, you're just waiting to point it out. Yeah, you're just like itching to point it out. The contradiction you convinced lies somewhere within this man's testimony. I don't know, Van Ziggs. I think you are very closely... I think you are, like, involved with Gregson and Dr. Wilson. Because I think they worked out the professor case. Yep.
Objection!
What is this? An autopsy report? Wait, this is 10 years old. For an autopsy of Lord Clint Van Ziggs. What? My brother's autopsy report? I'm pleased to see the defense is intent to run for the undeniable truth. Order in court. What reason do you have for presenting a 10-year-old autopsy report here, counsel? The autopsy report of the professor final victim is an undelible why can't you just say undeniable? It's just undelible link between Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson, and the defendant. Not that accursed name again, the professor. I personally researched all the court record relating to that case. I know that at the time, autopsy was considered sacrilege to the victim's souls, and for a member of the aristocracy like Lord Clint-Van-Zeeks, it was unthinkable. But someone implored the powers that be to allow the autopsy to go ahead, Inspector Gregson. He declared that he was certain he would obtain conclusive proof for the procedure, and it was Dr. Wilson who conducted the autopsy. His signature is clearly visible on the document I can't read today. As promised by Gregson, the autopsy did indeed produce evidence. Evidence that conclusively proved Genshin Asogi was guilty of the murders. In my brother's dying moments, he mustered all his remaining strength to leave that vital clue behind. Indeed, that was the key to indicting the professor for his crimes and the conclusive evidence that convicted him. It enabled Lord Van-Zeeks to avenge his brother's senseless death with a marvelous victory in court. A marvelous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true. What? Could the same be said if it turned out that the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? If the inspector, the coroner, and the prosecutor all colluded together to cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer sentenced to his death? That's outrageous. And now, 10 years later, for some reason, the secret has been threatened and needs protecting. Which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced, isn't it? By someone in power in Japan and in Britain, using the two killers recruited for the assassin exchange. Order. Order at once. 10 years ago, my father was convicted in this very courtroom as a mass murderer to be sentenced to death. But it was all sham. I swore to myself that I'd prove it. Which is why I had to come to Britain, whatever the cost. You'll have to forgive me if I feel compelled to toast this vengeful Nipponese's tenacity of purpose here, however. He who fails to quash his emotions in a courtroom has failed as a lawyer. Come on, Kazuma, you know this won't wash. You're claiming your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago. You must see that without evidence. There's nothing more than a wild accusation. As it happens, I have evidence. What? As the court has heard, I crossed the channel to France with Gregson on 31st. I wanted him on the pretext of being the assassin recruited to kill Seishiro Jigoku. But my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the evidence, and he acknowledged what I already deduced. There's a closely guarded secret about what went on in that autopsy 10 years ago. What? A secret? I know nothing of any secret. While we waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin, I drew my client's illustrious sword Karuma before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Right, I see. You're that Sogi's young lad, are you? And what? You're gonna cut me down that thing, is that it? That will very much depend on the answers you give to my questions. I want to know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth, that's all. Before I get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe her father was a professor. There's no doubt in my mind. But unfortunately back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. So, you admitted then? The evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? It was for the good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. Orders? What exactly did you do? Speak! I'm not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it? That's right. Even then. So that's when the tip of the sword broke on his case. Oh, Kazuma-sama. If the results of Clint-Van-Zeeks' autopsy were fabricated, the investigating officer Gregson and lead coroner Wilson must have known about it, and they can only have been ordered to pervert the course of justice in that way by one man. The man leading the case of the prosecution, Barak Van-Zeeks. In other words, the defendant did have cause to organize this exchange of assassins. Exactly, and as was established earlier, it has to happen the Reaper self who lies with Jigoku in Japan Arrange Exchange. I'm sorry, can't read. Ah. So it follows that the Reaper's true identity can only be that of the man who stands accused in his courtroom today, Barak Van Seeks.
Objection!
Kazuma Asogi. What? What you just told the court? I am absolutely certain of your facts. Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago? I heard it with my own ears. His shameful admission. Wow, I just noticed they got a new witness. In that case, I know the name of the Reaper. What? What? Lord Van Zeeks? It's Strongheart, right? I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. Which narrows down the remaining possibilities to 1. If Lord Van Zeeks isn't the one behind all this, then yes, there's only one other person who could have done something like that. I believe I know who it is too. You? I just had a feeling this name was going to come up. Yup, me too. The true identity of the infamous Reaper the Bailey is... Where is he? Wait, yeah. Star? I just like missed him. The only person could arrange the assassin's change and manipulated the autopsy results is the Lord Chief Justice himself. I can't read today. Lord Mail Strongheart. What? Lord Strongheart? Yes, it's true that 10 years ago the defendant handled the prosecution of the professor in court, but he only took over the case after his brother, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, had been killed. I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history. Well, Lord Van Zeeks, 10 years ago I was very new to my profession, but I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death, so I pleaded for control of the case. And Starheart let you do that. The investigation to that point, the supplication of the lords to allow my brother's corpse to be examined, all the evidence I was given, the autopsy reports, it all came from you. I spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside to let me handle the trial, but I see now. I was very much mistaken. It was a hugely influential force that caused the inspector and the coroner to break the law 10 years ago, and that same force was still felt a decade later on the other side of the world by Seishiro Jigoku. Lord Strongheart, everything falls into place when you recognize that you are the Reaper the Bailey. The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you, it is no joke. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense. It doesn't warrant a response. A formal accusal? Don't be absurd. The defense's claims are utter nonsense, a wild fantasy at best. You're not going to defend yourself? You claim that there was some wrongdoing with Lord Clint Van Zeeks' autopsy. That's utterly untrue.
Objection!
But I heard it from Grex's own lips. He admitted to it. And where is your evidence? What? Grex is dead now, and I see think is summoning a ghost to the stand like, ooh. You mean to say... I forget how the system works in your little backwater country. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go with the racist statements. But in the courts of the British Empire, without evidence, there is no case. I have no intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated by anyone or anything. Oh no, sorry, you sound pretty guilty right now. Order in court. Following Inspector Gust's murder and the light of Dr. Wilson's death as well, there's really no one left who could testify about the events of 10 years ago. is there? So that was the real purpose of assassin exchange. I mean, there's Susato's dad. He was there at the autopsy. The accused are brought by the prosecution. The defense is categorically denied. I take it there are no objections. Kazuma, he's more or less awaited his whole life for this moment. Is there really nothing else he could do? Is there no other avenue he could go down, pursue the truth about what happened all these years ago? There's Susato's dad! If only there's someone who could testify Cliff Van Seek's autopsy. There is someone. He's gone to extraordinary lengths to cover his tracks, even so far as dispatching an assassin all the way to Japan to ensure Dr. Wilson's silence. Dr. Sykes won't say anything against our heart. But there's still one ray of hope.
Objection!
Actually, there's one person who could still testify about the autopsy. Don't be ridiculous, there's no one left. I killed them all! Who, Yusuke? Who? Tell me! Kazuma, Please, this trial can't end. Not yet. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the truth. The person, the defense would like to call to the stand to testify the autopsy of Lord Cliff Van Seek's Mikotoba. Heaven help us, another Japanese. Okay, sorry. An expert in forensic medicine, my lord, Professor Yuji Mikotoba, 16 years ago, he came to London with Seishiro Jigoku Genshin Asogi as a visiting student. And what could his testimony possibly tell us? Professor Mikotoba was the primary assistant during the autopsy in question. He was also the person who actually penned the report. Incorrect. The autopsy is carried out by the coroner, Dr. Wilson. The report carries his signature. It was the primary assistant's duty to keep a written record of the coroner's work during the procedure. In actual fact, the coroner merely read over the report at the end and signed it. In other words, Professor Mikotoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish. The defense demands that Professor Mikotoba be summoned as a witness as a matter of urgency. Whatever really happened in the autopsy laboratory 10 years ago is something only he can tell us. I can't read. Excuse me while I stumble over my words. Defense's demand is denied. What? But Professor Mikotoba is in London at this very moment. We could summon his stand in minutes. No, of course he's not going to agree to it. Sara has no intention to summon anyone who knows. He's too concerned about protecting himself. Yeah, I can't read today. Prosecutor Asogi, let me refresh your memory. As you seem to have forgotten at the prosecution's stance. Only minutes ago, you accused the defendant of being the reaper and of masterminding the assassin exchange. I did, yes. So present your evidence for those claims and make your case complete. At this time, I don't have the requisite evidence, but that's exactly why we need witness testimony. The professor case is closed. There are no clues and this is past, so bolster your argument today. I'm afraid to say, Prosecutor Asogi, that you would appear to be possessed by the spirit of your late homicidal father. Oh boy, are we going like superstitious shit now? Can we not? Now, as I stated earlier, this court has already reached a conclusion with respect to the matter at hand. Inspector Grasson was murdered by Japanese Supreme Court Judge Seishiro Jigoku. As for any hidden circumstances that may exist, they will be investigated in due course by the proper authorities. That means it will be investigated by me and hidden by me.
Objection!
But we all know what will happen. That'll just give the mastermind the whole adventure time to cover his tracks again. By which you mean me? Moi? Your punishment for this contemptible behavior will be decided at a later date. As for you, Prosecutor Asogi, you'll be remanded following these proceedings. Willingly, I trust, since you gave her word. This futile game of revenge is over, young Master Asogi. Grrr! What? I tried. That'll be all. I hereby declare this trial to be over. Court is... Sholmes! But, Mr. Sholmes! This is no place for amateur detection, Mr. Sholmes. May I write it? These proceedings are closed to the general public. You will leave the courtroom at once.
Objection.
Mr. Sholmes is instrumental in the apprehension of Seishio Jigoku before he fled for Europe. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Miles Strongheart, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this child to an end at this stage. Is it really? And what would that be? You need only recall your own words when opening a trial to answer a question, if I may. We will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Surely it can't be that the shock of being accused of being the Reaper yourself has erased that from memory, can it? The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered. It will seem that we have a great many important members of the judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellow, should the trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along to the prevarications of your superiors? Order! Order in court! It seems to me that we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices, a door that is ajar. Let us emerge from the shadows of the Reaper's decade-long ascendancy. For you, and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open now. The auditors in this gallery have no right to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence!
He's right. The judge has absolute authority here.
Yes, if he calls the trial to end, it must end. But will that really do? I sense dark things occurring behind the scenes.
Is there a single person here presiding at all stage?
What's... The trial should go on! Summon the witness!
That's right, we didn't clear this up before the young Japanese boy ripped into custody.
My lord, you assured this president that you will uncover the whole truth here.
Better get yourself with this outlandish accusation. Blah 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 blah.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the very foundation of British law. A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery. On with the trial! On with the trial! Testify! Well, my lord? You hear the voice of British justice, I take it. I think you'll find it will be rather awkward silence. The court will recess briefly. I'll have no intention of shrinking for these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena of the witness at once. As soon as the gentleman arrives to the courthouse, we shall reconvene. A recess won't be necessary, my lord. Because he's already here! Mikotoba is a close friend of mine. He accompanied me today and is waiting in the antechamber as we speak. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip down memory lane, in fact. What? Professor Mikotoba is here in the courthouse? Mr. Sholmes, you didn't know this happened, did you? My dear fellow, no one is in a better position to answer that question than you, surely. I wasn't just asking for the fun of it, you know. Well, I must thank you for your assistance in this matter, Mr. Sholmes. However, you are of no further use here. Kindly leave the courtroom at once. But of course, in truth, I found myself rather busy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Naruhodo, yes? I trust you have Iris' little lucky charm with you. Absolutely. It's still in my pocket. She sends her regards and a reminder. If you find yourself at the dead end, the ears are at your disposal. Just one tug if you please. Oh, of course. In that case, the trial will continue without delay. Bailiff, show the witnesses stand. Bye, Sholmes. You're still my favorite character. So is Lord Strongheart. He's the Reaper the Bailey. Where exactly is this trial going to take me, I wonder? Just how deep am I going to plunge into the blackness of the abyss? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom and confront whatever horrors the choices draw under. Do 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 do. Oh, save.